Well, good evening to you. We're looking at the big storm system that's moving through the upper Midwest and northern plains. Brought plenty of severe weather, actually, to a large swath of Nebraska, in through Iowa, and even in through southern Minnesota tonight. Pretty bizarre weather for this time of year. And the Weather Service had it pretty well predicted as we were taking a look at everything from the start. But they did have a big moderate risk area that included Iowa and then into southern Minnesota. So not a big surprise, but just very odd for this time of year. Now, as you can see, with all this moisture that's getting pumped into the system, this very potent system, everything's getting pushed to the backside of this. All this moisture is getting pulled back on the backside here. And then we have some very cold air being drawn back onto the west side of the system. Pretty typical, obviously, as we take a look at the current conditions. I'll give it a bit for my computer to catch up. And these are what are called, what meteorologists call METARs, and they are um, the current state of the weather, typically at airports, but they can be in other locations. Um, but as you can see, the wind barbs, as they're just wrapping around this low pressure system, and as we zoom in a little bit here, um, it takes a little bit of getting used to, but basically what you're looking at is the more barbs that we have on there, the stronger the winds. Uh, so each bar is 10 knots and a short one is 5, just to give you an idea. So you can count this. The black is the sustained and the red is the gust. So there's 20 knots gust to 35 on this one. Um, so very strong winds here as we take a look on the western parts of Minnesota, gusting over 40 miles per hour here in Granite Falls. I saw an even stronger one here down in a couple stronger ones down in the far southern Minnesota. Gusts of 54 knots, so that's well over 60 miles an hour of gusts. Um, Here in Worthington, the same thing, 52 knots. So again, that's over 60 mile per hour gusts. And you can also see hopefully 3/4 statute miles in light snow. Um, so these areas that were getting very strong thunderstorms earlier now are on the back side of this. Their temperatures are actually 30 degrees, 31, 34, moderate snow here and half mile visibility at Slayton. Um, Also moderate snow in Pipestone, 3/4 mile visibility. So once these storms move through, now what we're looking at is some snow on the back end of this in southern Minnesota. Conditions obviously deteriorating very quickly, and so you can expect the road conditions also to follow suit. Um, as we head a little closer or into our area, more into North Dakota and northern Minnesota, um, snow starting here, starting to pick up in Detroit Lakes, 2.5 miles in light snow. Um, Actually calling it rain still in Park Rapids and even areas further to the east and south still. Um, so the transition hasn't quite made it to some of these areas, but with all this moisture that gets sucked up into this, um, there, let's see here, you can see these thunderstorms. Actually, there's actual thunderstorms that have developed into northern Minnesota. Oh gosh, I'm forgetting on the station here. But I know it was north of Duluth was reporting thunderstorms. Actually, here, just north of Lake Superior, two harbors, two statute miles, and heavy thunderstorm, heavy rain and thunderstorm. Um, I believe it was, Eveleth was the other place that was recording thunderstorms. Here we are, middle of December, and northern areas of uh, Minnesota are reporting thunderstorms. I mean, that's just unbelievable. That's just normally shouldn't happen. I mean, you do occasionally see thunder snow rather. Um, it is very brief typically, but actual thunderstorm with rain, um, very out of the ordinary. Um, as we take a look at the wind gusts that are expected here overnight, now this is the HRRR model. It's basically the uh, short range more convective model, but it also does a pretty good job with a lot of the other parameters such as wind gusts. Um, so as we step through time here, you can see um, that it is forecasting these strong winds of 65 miles per hour down in through northern Iowa and southern parts of Minnesota. As for us here into North Dakota, they're forecasting around 40 miles per hour. Hasn't quite hit that yet, so a little bit strong from what it's showing right now, but it's close. I mean, it's we're gonna be close to that as we can step through time here, and the wind's expected to decrease as we get closer to about the 2 a.m. time frame. Now, notice down in the city still, I mean, they're still looking at wind gusts over 60 miles an hour. So whatever didn't get them with the storms, surely there's going to be, the potential for at least some displaced garbage cans and whatever else that's going to be blown all about. And who knows? There might just you might even see tree limbs down. I mean, um, in causing some damage in that respect. So 60, 65 miles per hour. That's pretty good. That that can that can cause a little bit of damage. Um, stepping through time, once the system finally starts to eject off to the northeast, these wind gusts settle down a little bit. We're still looking at in the upper 30s to maybe some 40 mile per hour gust here. This is right around 8 a.m. time frame. So, about the time you're getting to work or there, so you're still going to be seeing some drifting, especially if you see pick up any snow overnight. Um, I should say in parts of northern Minnesota where they're expected to definitely see some snow. They're definitely going to have some travel issues, probably Bemidji and northeastward in through the Arrowhead region. So, um, and I'll show you some of the forecasted snow totals here in a bit. uh, as we again step through the time frame, we're looking at 10, 11, and noon tomorrow. And by noon, granted, we're still seeing gusts 25 to 30 in the valley. That's you can expect some drifting at the very least, and these are going to be out of the northwest. These winds, as we flip over to the actual direction. Um, click back on the time here. So the I-29 corridor, any north-south roads, 75 220. Those guys, there'll be the ones that you're going to be having some drifting from west to east across the roads, um, even as you get into the noon hour. So past that point, I don't know. No. As we take a look at the actual precip now, again, waiting for my computer to load. Anybody want to buy me a computer? That'd be great. So here you can see the system getting wrapped up and all that rain that's getting pulled around. And then we got some mixed bag of the dreaded mixed bag of precipitation that we're going to be looking at. There's going to be some kind of a transition here. Um, Again, just oh, what is that? Just southeast of east of Fisher Climax, down to Fertile Ada. uh, Actually, probably more east of those areas, even those a little more west of that. Detroit Lakes would probably be more so, is where we're looking at that transitional area where they could see some freezing rain, some sleet before this area does eventually turn over to snow and quickly move to the northeast. Now, as more cold air gets pulled in on the back side of this, you can see these tight gradient. The more that these lines are closer together, you can expect the winds to be stronger. Because we're on the back side of this system, they're going to be out of the north. So expect strong north winds like we've been talking about as it's pulling in a lot of cold air. And that's why this transition is happening. Here comes here's some of the warm air that gets pulled in. Cold air on the backside transitions everything else over to snow. So as this quickly moves off to the northeast, it's going to be rapidly dumping off some snow in through the northern parts of Minnesota. Looks like it's going to pretty much spare the Arrowhead region. So, um, more east to International Falls even is where some of these areas are really looking to pick up a lot of snow. And then with that, as we said earlier, looking at 30 to 40 mile per hour gusts, and you're going to get some pretty slick roads overnight. Um, Stepping back as we look at the actual snowfall expected. Now, this is just from this certain model at this particular time frame, and things could change. We'll look at the American model as well. That the short range model that shows us. We'll see what that's figuring as far as snowfall totals go and where exactly. But that band of snow that's developed out in Bismarck looks like that's going to pick up maybe an inch or inch and a half of snow just kind of out in that south central parts of the state, Bismarck, Linton, Braddock, uh, maybe Washburn, Wilton, coming out in those areas, Flasher, Standing Rock, those areas out in south central parts of North Dakota. But otherwise, um, there's a bit of a gap in between this main system and this deformation zone. Basically, what's happening is the um, uh, atmosphere is wringing out the moisture. You've got the snow, this big system off to the east, and then you've got some high pressure off to the further north and west, and it's wringing out some of this moisture. So essentially, that's really what's happening here with the main system, snow being more through Minnesota. So, um, as my daughter asked me, will there be school? Yeah, through the Valley region, I think there will be. Yes, there will be gusts, but we're just not picking up a heck of a lot of snow. Um, 2 hours late, maybe. You just never know. Maybe some of these areas down like Wahpeton might call off school for a couple hours or be a couple hours late. Uh, Definitely, if you're looking out into central parts of Minnesota, yeah, that could be more of a problem where I could see snow being called or school being called off. Um, uh, just because you got the combination of both the snow and the winds, especially through the early morning hours. So just be mindful to, you know, um, check the weather, get up a little earlier, see what's going on. make sure you know what's going on as far as school, even your work, if you have to go in. Maybe you don't have to. Maybe you can work from home. But otherwise, once you get further west, west of Bemidji, a little bit, Thief River, Grand Forks, they may pick up an inch. Um, and granted, with an inch and some strong winds, that's is going to make the roads slippery. Um, so don't get me wrong. Definitely, be mindful of what the roads are going to be in the morning, but that it's not going to be this big system for us. So um, normal winter weather driving conditions for us this time of year. Just be mindful of that. I guess check the road reports in the morning. Ask some friends. See what they're seeing out there before you head out. Um, so it'd definitely be something to check on in the morning, just to see how roads are. Um, Now, let's jump over to that American model that I was talking about earlier. Just because it was also showing another system to move through um, come Friday, which is a little bit unfortunate for me as we're trying to get back to Bismarck. Uh, but we'll take a look and see what this run says, what this model says. Same thing, maybe a little bit further east as far as the big band of snow goes with this system that's moving through. Interestingly, I'll have to check on to see why it develops this bit of band or this secondary area out in northwestern parts of Minnesota. Um, hmm, that is new. Well, let's see why or how it goes about developing that. So here's that band out in Bismarck. Uh, Holds that a little bit further east. Here's our system. So basically what this is doing is it's taking that band in Bismarck, quickly moving it to the northeast and increasing it, intensifying it once it gets closer to this main system, and it ramps it up a little bit, gets a little bit, I would suspect, into some better upper level dynamics. Yeah, so basically running in with the jet here. Yeah, so it's taking this trough here in the upper levels, and this trough is essentially intensifying that band of snow as it kind of deepens a little bit and pushes off to the east. And then it decreases as it moves off to the northeast, and basically by that time everything's gone. So as you go head back to the precip, step through everything one more time. That system moves out. Plenty of cold air moves in on the backside, as we have discussed before. And then this is Friday at about noon. So next little system moves through, not as strong um, as far as just being widespread, but definitely has the potential of bringing more snow to North Dakota and northern Minnesota. Um, and then by Saturday morning, it's essentially out of here. So as we take a look, we'll just step back in time here a little bit. As we're looking at Friday morning, looks like it's going to be in the western parts of North Dakota, just reaching the central parts, Bismarck Minot area. Um, Probably looking at some east southeast winds. Not real strong, but maybe a little gusty as it develops. Begins to intensify. Now we're looking at noon, and by this time, according to this model, has the snow down in the southeastern part of the state. Um, so Lidgewood, Oaks, Ellendale, Wishigan, Napoleon, up through uh, Garrison, Minot, all you guys are be kind of right in the heart of the snow by noon on Friday. And then parts of the northeastern part of the North Dakota and into Minnesota, not quite there yet. But as you step on through, um, by 6 o'clock on Friday evening, uh, we're looking in the northwestern parts of the state of Minnesota, and just kind of moving out of the eastern parts of the state by the evening. So going to be creating some difficult driving conditions if you are heading somewhere for an early holiday like we do a lot of times as we head to Bismarck. Maybe you've got a basketball game that you need to go to. Um, just be mindful of that. Make sure you're get a little extra time to get where you're going on Friday evening as the system moves through. Wind wise, let's take a look. Let's just do a single image here. And we can kind of look over a number of things at specific time frames. Again, if my computer would cooperate, that'd be great. Cooperating computer. What a concept. Oh, hey, uh, I'm new here, trying this out. I'm going to continue to try this. So if you wouldn't mind giving me a little like down there, not a dislike, subscribe so you know when I'm going to be coming back on again. Again, this is all, just trying this out. Been wanting to do this for many years. I went to school originally to be a meteorologist, originally thinking I'd be on air. Never did that. Worked for the airline, worked for Northwest Airlines for a number of years, worked for a private company at Grand Forks, and then have been out of it for a few years and just kind of following the weather on the side and doing some storm chasing. But maybe there's some opportunity here. We'll see. Um, but I gotta get back into this. I gotta get my feet wet. So, um, and there's always a starting point, and obviously this is broadcast number one, so it's gonna be ugly. But hopefully it'll provide some sort of information along the way. How about that? Some information. That'd be great. Anyway, 6 o'clock Friday evening. Snow into eastern parts of the state. North Dakota, northwestern Minnesota. Winds, again, if you remember what I talked about with these wind barbs, um, uh, short little ones like that, 5 miles per hour. Pretty light winds as this moves through. Now on the back side of this, it gets a little bit gustier. And also you can see this cold air being dragged in on the back side of this next system as well. But anyway, um, 19 knots, 20 knots. So you're looking at 25 miles per hour, reaching just starting to get into the central part of North Dakota at that time, according to this particular model. And this is at 6 o'clock in the evening on Friday evening. Wind gusts to 30. Let's take a look at how much snow is expected to fall over that time frame. So keep this in mind. Gusts of 30, 20 gusts of 30 out in the west. Well, looks like at that point the wind is kind of outside where most of the snow is. So that's good. Let's step ahead just another few hours here and see um, where the remainder of this storm winds up. Yeah, so interesting. If we did talk about that band from, I had said Lidgerwood, Ellendale, and then up through, the Castle, not Castleton, Carrington, Rugby, um, in through Minot. Um, yeah, those areas. This is kind of the Bullseye area with the uh, or the main area in through here, with a couple bullseyes down in the southeast and then in the far northwest. Interestingly enough, so it could dump another, 4 to 6 inches of snow, we'll say, generally within this region that we're looking at here. Um, with some possible, you know, 3 inches, and then the Grand Forks Devil's Lake. I think I don't remember if that's Towner. Um, and then decreases as you head to the northeast and down to the southwest. Well, let's back um, up to our Friday evening time frame. We'll take a look back at the wind gusts one more time. Once my computer is able to catch up. Wind gusts. Here we go. So again, just kind of avoiding the heavier snow at that point in the evening. Lighter winds further out to the east, so that's good. Even though it's going to be snowing in the evening, if you got anywhere to go, at least the winds won't be that bad yet. Um, Come on, model. Come on, computer. Come on, computer. Now it's starting to pick up a little bit, starting to get into these areas that were picking up some snow. Now you got gusts of 30, which, definitely that's going to be causing some drifting with some fresh snow on the ground. Visibilities are going to be reduced. We're looking at 9 o'clock at night, Friday night. Here's midnight, so midnight Friday night, Saturday morning, very early Saturday morning, and gusts of 30. Pushing into these areas that had some pretty, decent snowfall. uh, so again, probably looking at reduced visibilities. Definitely some slippery roads once we hit midnight Friday night. Stepping through time a little bit once that system continues to push on out. And this is Saturday morning. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. So still seeing some gusts, decent winds through the valley region of North Dakota. Some decent winds, wind gusts down through Wilmer, I believe that is, Fargo, Jamestown, Valley City. Still seeing gusts at 30, maybe some 25 to 30 miles per hour rather. So they're gonna be looking at some drifting. Um, Definitely down, especially in southeastern parts of North Dakota, and probably even through the valley as we're, even with 3 inches. I mean, 20 to 25 to 30 miles per hour, you're gonna have some drifting. That's just, I mean, it's how things go. Um, and stepping through time very slowly with my computer. And by noon, most of it's out of our area of concern. On Saturday, uh, winds start to decrease, so things will look likely be improving as the day goes along. On Saturday, looks like some gustier winds down in the southern parts of Minnesota as that the system continues to kind of slide off to the east. Looks like it really dries up as it does so. So high pressure moves in, plenty of cold air back behind it. This is Saturday now at about 3 in the afternoon. Let's just take a look at the temperatures. Single digits, teens, uh, cold. Yeah, yep. It's going to be cold. Not real pleasant. Let's just move forward and try to get to Sunday morning here. Probably going to be some clouds around the way it looks, just because temperatures just maintain. They don't really dip down to below zero. So that's kind of what it's looking like through the weekend. Quick look at the precip. And yeah, so that's where we're at. We'll take a look at things tomorrow, hopefully, if we have time, and make sure you check your roads and everything in the morning for the parts of the eastern part of North Dakota, northern Minnesota, and